34th Blockchain Developers Meetup, Blockdevs Asia. So we've had a lot already. Just quick, what is Blockdevs Asia? Blockdevs Asia is an organization. We have been around since 2017. Yeah, we have done a whole bunch of meetups, 34. We have done a bunch of hackathons. And last year we took a break, and this year we started again. So this is why you're here. Blockdevs Asia is about blockchain developers. We organize and engage blockchain developers, but actually developers interested in blockchain is fine too. Actually, there are more of those, and they needed more. By networking, representation, and education. So today is mostly about education. So our plans, our schedule. Today is May 20th, so it's about zero knowledge proofs. Last March, it was about tooling for Ethereum. So as you can see, the odd months we do technology, we do it here, and the even months we talk more about the ecosystem, about cryptocurrencies in general, about the laws around it, and that is in Makati. So this is the one for nerds. We may do a hackathon later this year. So that is what Blockdevs Asia does. So Blockdevs Asia is a non-profit organization. Right now the board of directors is myself, Raf Padilla, he's a lawyer, Mike Reyes, Chris Vercelles, and Tracy Lee. So right now I'm the only one here from the VOD. Sometimes we're all together. So, and actually if you go to the Makati meetup, it's more likely to meet Mike or Raf. So you met Mike and Raf, and Tracy for sure. Blockdevs Asia, if you're in a position to sponsor, it's welcome. Right now, Oostenvoort and Wine Club are sponsoring, but we're open to others as well. So, in case you didn't notice, this is the office of Oostenvoort Incorporated. It's right there on the wall. We build blockchain and cloud solutions. So, this office normally during the week, we're coding software here for customers, mostly abroad. Currently, mostly Singapore and UK. So, we'll share this later so you can see it. But I think you know the meetup already. I'll flash it later again. So, we have a big program. Oh, we have new visitors. So today you saw that it is about zero knowledge proofs. So I'll say a little bit about why we're here, what I'm expecting to do to you. So I'm Caspar Oostendorp, I'm CTO of Oostenvoort Inc. and also one of the owners. I said it already, we build blockchain and cloud solutions. And right now actually, well, Mike is sitting in the back. Some people are sitting in the room there. We are participating in a hackathon, an online hackathon. So we still have a few days to go. Welcome. Thanks for coming. So that's actually, besides working for our customers, we like to increase our skills and our exposure by doing completely different, interesting stuff. So if you're interested, you can also, I'm sharing this in GitHub, so you can take a look at the link. It's quite cool. And finally, this presentation, so I do, or Blockdevs Asia does technical meetups every 2 months. I decided to present this one because I wanted to learn about zero knowledge proofs. We are sort of starting to use it for customers, but zero knowledge proofs are so complex that until now I felt just scared to my bones about really understanding it. So what is a better way than to force yourself to stand in front of 25 people and have to explain it to them? So the last 2 days I was reading and trying to understand and trying to figure out how to explain it to you. I may fail. This is very complex. Some of you may not even have a software development background, then it gets even worse. So the bar is pretty high. So I want to make sure we'll cover a lot of things. We are probably going to skip over a lot of things too. If at any stage you feel completely lost, just raise your hand. You can admit it, it's fine. I mean, with a lot of these things, 2 weeks ago, I'm also like, I don't really know. All right? Because ideally, we're all like 25% of the way instead of one person gets it entirely. All right? So that is basically our thing in Oostenvoort as well. If you don't know how something works, if you're stuck, just be open about it. Ask someone. And then you learn a lot faster than if you're suffering in silence. All right, so all of you, please don't suffer in silence. All right. Okay, now, so it's about zero knowledge proofs. Does anyone here have an idea what it is? The slightest? Anyone?
It's not about encryption.
Yes, it has. It has, yes. That's yeah, close. Yes, pretty close. All right, I will start off with current events to illustrate the problem, so we can frame this whole presentation a little bit. So I found a bunch of links. These are news websites. I will just explain what it is. So these are news websites that are talking about a leak of the Philippine, I think it's the PNP, got hacked, or they leaked data in April of this year. So it's just a few weeks ago. And the data of millions of people was leaked. It is out on the open on the internet. And that's a problem. Because if you had your passport scanned or your driver's license photocopied for something and it was in that database and it ended up on the open internet, someone can impersonate you. They can go to the bank with a copy of your ID and impersonate you. They can say, oh, I am this person, or I am, I have a power of attorney for this person. So sensitive documents, sensitive information out in the open without you wanting it out in the open is a problem. So nearly 1.5 million American Bar Association members compromised. And then the final thing, and that is the Philippine Commissioner, Privacy Commissioner, and that is, I fully agree with that, is that if you collect data, if you collect personal data, so if you have that in a database, you have a duty to protect the data. That means that you protect it from hackers, or maybe even employees accidentally sending an email with that sensitive data to everybody. So, yeah, does that make sense so far? So the problem is when data is out in the open, or when data is in a place where they cannot take care of it, it can leak, and then all kinds of bad things happen. So I think everybody here, I am nervous if a hotel asks me for a copy of my passport and I don't know what they're going to do with it. I mean, because maybe one of the workers in the hotel is corrupt, they have another side business, and they have a deal with people who steal identities, right? Suddenly they have your passport scan, they have your address, they have everything. So if a hotel wants to know where I live or what nationality I have, why am I giving my passport scan? It's too much information. It's more in the US, I think, than here, but if you want to go to a bar to drink alcohol in the US, you have to show a driver's license, because you get the driver's license when you're 21, correct? It's none of their business, that bar, whether you have a driver's license, where you live. The only thing the bar needs to know is, are you 21 years old? The rest doesn't matter, right? So there's a lot of examples here where we are really oversharing. Too much information right now goes into places where we don't know if they're taking care of it, or if criminals are going to use it for gain. Yeah, so I mentioned driver's license. Actually, the only thing they need to know is that your birth date is before a certain date. Citizenship, none of their business. Or funds. How often do you have to send a statement of your bank account to prove that you have funds for something? So now you're sharing your address, you're sharing how much is in your bank account. Not nice, right? The only thing that they need to know is, do you have enough money? And well, that's a really outlandish one. There was actually, I think it was Iraq that had to prove that they don't have nuclear weapons. But they don't want to say what they do have. So some scientists came up with a way for, I think it was Iraq or Iran, to prove that it's not nuclear, but they're not saying what it is.
Chemical.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
there during the Gulf War, the first desert storm. I was in Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
So I've seen the war.
oh my, yeah. But were there weapons, or did you see them?
Yeah, ICBMs, Patriot missiles.
Ah, okay. But not the Iraqi.
They have chemical weapons installed.
Yeah.
I think they moved it to Syria during the war.
As an expert.
Yeah. So, yeah, I believe you. So the thing is, there is also a need for countries to prove something that, I really don't have nuclear weapons without saying what they do have. Because if they say what they do have, then suddenly, well, they're not going to do that too. So, bottom line, we're oversharing. So, what if we can actually prove these things without sharing the information behind it? We can just prove the fact that we have enough funds, that we have the right age, etc., without actually giving our driver's license, passport, etc. So that's what today is about, because that is what zero knowledge proofs are about. Zero knowledge, so proving without giving the other party any knowledge. Zero knowledge proofs. So far so good? Yeah? All right. Okay. If I'm going too fast, let me know. All right. First, because this zero knowledge proofs is it's a computer science. It's a software thing, and math, and cryptography. So I want to just go over a few terms, just so we're all on the same page. So, does anyone know what blockchain is here? Who doesn't know what blockchain is? Our students? Do we know what blockchain is? No? Alright. So, blockchain is a decentralized technology that enables secure and transparent recording of transactions or data across multiple computers. Imagine an Excel sheet that everybody can read and write, and that is not on only one person's computer. Like right now, if the Gcash servers, that is actually a recent event, if everybody's balance for how much money they have is on only one server, namely the Gcash server, and the Gcash server somehow gets hacked or destroyed, everybody loses their money, right? Oops, problem. So a blockchain is basically a system where instead of having only one server that remembers how much money everybody has, there's a lot of them. And they don't have to trust each other. So cryptography and math are used to keep everybody honest. So that is the main use of a blockchain. Ethereum? Yes? I'll just go over it just to be sure. So a blockchain is basically the system of the computers. Ethereum is the software that runs on it. And one of the software that you can run is how much balance does someone have? Like Gcash. So in a way, Ethereum is like Gcash. It's just keeping track of balance of people. But it's also like Windows because you can install programs on it. And those programs can be run in such a way that you can trust that everybody runs it at the same time, so no one can cheat. So your program is trustworthy and not dependent on one company. So if one computer in the Ethereum network gets destroyed, no problem. There's 100,000 other ones. So that's the bottom line. All right. Now we go deeper. Algorithm. All right. So it's really simple. It's a set of steps. It's basically an instruction. It's a number of steps that you can take, or rules, to perform a specific task. Not necessarily in a computer. You can have an algorithm just in a how-to. If you print out a how to install a light bulb. Technically, it's an algorithm. First, you take the bulb out of the box, then you, right? But mostly, yeah, we use it for computer programs. Okay. Who knows this? You do? Okay, yeah, explain. No. Yeah, okay. Actually, I don't want to explain it. I think I don't even want to explain it. I just want to drop the word here, and that everybody knows. It is a way to encrypt things, and how do I say that simply? It is very easy to encode a secret, but after that, decode the secret is almost impossible. I didn't have time preparing this morning to get the elliptic curve illustration, etc. Yeah, it is.
It's similar to RSA like RC40.
Yeah.
We use RC40 our code.
Yeah.
But it's hackable.
Yeah, that's old because it's old. Yeah, yeah. So just remember, it's a way to encode secrets, or to create secrets that are easy to encode, but without the secret key are almost impossible to decode. This one is related to it. So public key and private key. How do I explain this easily? Did anyone here use SSH? Anyone? No? So yeah, it's to get a terminal connection to a computer. I think the easiest way to say it is that you can. It's always about a piece of data. That piece of data can be unencrypted, and someone with a private key can encrypt the data. Then it is garbled. No one can make sense of it, right? But then it can be decrypted with another key. But the point is that the private key and the public key are separate. So there are really old encryption schemes where the encryption is symmetrical. So the same key to encrypt, like a very simple one is, in my message, all the A's become Z's and all the B's become X, etc. That is a symmetrical encryption method. This one you can't make sense of.
Symmetrical like Caesar's encryption.
Yeah.
It thinks the
Yes.
code as
Yes. Exactly. Caesars. Yeah. So I'm just curious with our STI computer engineering students. Did you cover this during your studies? Just do this or this. You did? Cool. Good to know. Okay. This is also not a topic, by the way. I just want to throw a bunch of words. Because we'll go deep now. One more to go. Hash function. So the last one is, and this is also very important in computer science and computer engineering. If you have a lot of data and you want to make sure that it didn't change, a hash function is actually something you can give it any amount of data and it will output always one number. A big number, but it is one number and it is always a certain size. Yeah, yeah, it's binary basically. Yeah. And that is very useful to see if someone gives some data and then someone changes it, the hash changes. So it's the same as a checksum, but better. That makes sense?
Checksum for CRC.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, CRC is checksum. Welcome. Okay. Okay, now that was it. So far, any questions? None? Good? All right. So, what are zero knowledge proofs? So now, since we talked about these examples already, so for example, the bank wants to know. No, that's a bad example. When yes, I want to buy a car, and I take out a loan, but that loan, the company wants to know if I have enough in my bank account to pay the down payment, right? So what happens right now probably is that I have to give my bank statement. And I may even call the bank and ask, like, hey, this person, do they have an account and is this their balance? So I am oversharing then. So this sounds very cryptic, but basically it means I want to prove the validity of a statement, and that statement would be, I have more than 200,000 pesos in my account. That would be the statement. But I'm not going to give information to my about my bank account, because maybe I have 1 million in my bank account, and if that company sees I have 1 million, they will say, oh, you know what, the down payment is actually 800,000, right? The only thing I want to prove is that I have 200,000 in my account. So the statement is, I have more than 200,000 without revealing how much I actually have. So in this case, if I want to get a car loan, I am the prover. I'm trying to prove the claim, and the car company is the verifier. So they need to check. Keep in mind, this is future reality. This is how it should be, not how it currently is. I hope it works like that in 10 years from now, right? People have been working on it for quite a while, so it came up in 1985. But currently, there's still a lot of development going on with this. But I think it's now pretty clear to everybody how important it is, that it is possible to do something like that, right? Okay. Now, I think this is another way to say it. A zero-knowledge protocol is a method by which one party, the prover, I want to prove I have money or I am 21 years old, can prove to another party, the bank, the bar that I want to go into, that something is true without revealing any information apart from the fact that this specific statement is true. So now I think everybody's like, how do you do that? It's impossible, right? That was at least my first thought. But it is possible, and it's possible in multiple ways even. But it's not easy. Okay. So there's two ways. And this is the theory behind it. This is actually how I understand it. And we'll go more in depth later. But there are basically two ways of proving. One is interactive. This is also the oldest. So in 1985, when they came up with the concept of zero-knowledge proofs, everything was interactive. And it really boils down to the prover does a random test and every time give a different outcome. So if I'm trying to, let me see if I didn't prep this, but with the driver's license, you want to prove to the bar that you're 21 years old, but you don't want to give your real age or your address or anything, or the name of your school. You want to give nothing. So how would you do that? Maybe one way would be that the bar says, you have to prove to me that you're 21. So maybe they will ask you, go into that other bar and then see if you get in. So if they trust that, if that bar trusts that other bar that their, checks at the door are good, and they see you go into that bar, and they think, okay, probably 21 years old, without seeing your driver's license or anything. So this way, you are able to prove something to them without disclosing anything, but the fact that you're able to go into another place. So that is one. Of course, maybe that other bar is not trustworthy, so maybe they will send you to 10 bars. And every time they send you to another place with an age limit, all kinds of places, every time they send you and you're able to get in, they are more confident that you are indeed 21 years old, right? Because one time, okay, maybe you bribe them or you know the doorman, but the next time and the next time and the next time, the chance is lower that you actually game the system, right? Problem is, that's a lot of work. And every time you go in, they have to do it again. Go here, go here. So you need constant interaction to prove it. The non-interactive is something of the last, I believe, 5 years, 8 years. And that one is interesting because I don't know how to do this with the driver's license. I'll give it a shot. Basically, you say to the doorman, I am 21 years old, and these are all the signatures of the government agents that signed off on my driver's license. But that's the only thing you give. You just give the signatures of the government agents, nothing else. And if the bar trusts that the government agents, they know that they are indeed valid and that this series of signatures is correct, they will say, okay, well, if you got all this from the government, you probably have a driver's license, so you are probably 21 years old. No interaction. Basically, all you give them is, I'm 21, here's the stack of papers from the government. That's it. So not interactive, because you agree on a set of rules. Namely, the government can be trusted, these are the signatures needed for driver's licenses, etc. Right? So, in a computer, the signatures that I'm mentioning, of course, are not stamps and signatures of people, but they're computer systems that are using, they're basically boiling down the data and the effects of the processes that run in such a way that both the prover and the verifier can see, yes, this code ran the way it was supposed to run and no one tampered with it. So I don't know the outcome, I don't know what went in and what came out, but we both trust that no one tampered with the code, so it's good, whatever came out of it. So far so good? I think we're done. I think I explained, I'm surprised, sorry. The driver's license thing with the government papers is pretty good, I think. Does it make sense? Okay. All right. Yeah, the rest is basically about that. So it's different variations of it. So people have been trying to come up with ways to explain this. Another one is the Alibaba cave story. Cryptographers, they use Peggy and Victor because P starts with prover and V with verifier. Another one, we talked about sending the person with the driver's license or not showing the driver's license into other bars. Another one is there's a cave with 2 entrances and there's a door with a secret lock. There's like a secret word. And Victor is the verifier, he stays here. And all he needs to know is, does Peggy, the prover, know the passcode for the door? So he doesn't want, but he cannot know the passcode itself. He only needs to know that she knows, without disclosing anything else. So if both of them stand here, and Peggy goes, actually Victor can say, Peggy, go to A, and I want you to come out of B. She can only go to B if she has the passcode for the door. So, but it goes further than that, because Peggy may be predicting what he's going to ask, or they may be colluding. So Victor says, I want you to go to A, and then she sneaks here. She doesn't go through the door. So the situation is really that Peggy has to go through the door at random. Sometimes she has to go through, sometimes she doesn't. And the more often she appears at the right place, the more certain Victor becomes that Peggy is not, lucky. That she's, oh, okay, I think he did A, so if Peggy is like 50-50, like, okay, this time I'm going to show up at A, but she was expected at B, that means she doesn't know the passcode, right? So same as with going into different bars and things. The more often you try, the more certain the verifier becomes that the prover really has the secret or the data. So far so good? Yeah, so this is the classic. I like the driver's license thing better. This one makes me, in the beginning I was like, what? Okay. So, concluding again, it allows you to prove the truth of a statement without sharing the statement's contents or revealing how you discovered the truth. To make this possible, the protocols rely on algorithms that take some data as input and return true or false as output. Now this is really dense. We may skip over this a bit, but to make this really work and to make it trustworthy, it needs to be complete. So the statement, the output of a zero knowledge proof has to be, it cannot be an open-ended answer. So it cannot be any color or anything. It has to be true or false. Right? If you cannot properly verify it, then yeah, it doesn't work. Yeah, these things, this goes pretty deep. And this boils down into how to build the algorithm. I'm going to skip over this a little bit. All right. But basically, we have a witness. So we want to prove something. Yeah, I think I'm going to skip over this. Because I explained it in other words already. So, by the way, you can, I share the whole presentation on GitHub. So you can download it later. So what we talked about right now is an interactive. So you ask, answer, and then you're a little bit more sure, ask again, or a different question. Do I get a valid answer again? Yes, I'm more sure. And you need to do that very often in order to, you will never be 100% certain. That's the problem also, right? Okay, now, non-interactive. I think I explained it already, because if you have the stack of signatures from the government, the verifier can just go over it, and if it follows his system that he knows is correct, it's good. So this function of encryption makes direct communication between the prover and verifier unnecessary. Also removing any intermediaries, which is also nice, because every time there's an intermediary step in software development, in network security, every intermediary cannot be trusted. So the whole thing with blockchain, especially blockchain cryptography, is mostly that it's permissionless, it's trustless. We try to build all the systems in such a way that anyone can participate without having to trust someone. It's like we have software 1.0, Gcash, whatever, banks, one big server owned by one corporation, and if they mess up, everybody loses whatever is there. And software 2.0 is really, no one has to trust anyone. Together, we build and run a system that does what we need it to do. A little bit of a side rant here. So we have been, as Oostenvoort, we have been doing blockchain for 5 years, something, 4 years. And sadly, blockchain is mostly associated with cryptocurrencies. And cryptocurrencies are mostly associated with money laundering, gambling, like all the bad things. And sadly, the government, of course, is cracking down on that. So cryptocurrencies are not very popular. Actually, because we have blockchain in our company name, we have to be careful with banks, with traditional banks. As a company, they will say, you're associated with blockchain. You're not getting a new bank account. Too risky. Even though, we are paying our taxes, but we use this new technology. So, and I find that personally sad, but it's also understandable, because with this new technology, if it really works, we don't need decentralized institutions anymore. We don't need a bank, right? We don't need, well, we need a government in a way, but maybe the way that we vote, the way that we make decisions together, can be more democratic than they are right now. So that is the reason that we're doing blockchain, that I started doing blockchain in 2017, is to further that. That's why Blockdevs Asia is here as well, right? So we can build that new technology layer. But there's a lot of pushback, which is sad. But yeah, we'll just keep going. And yeah, thank you for coming here, because that means you're learning about it. And maybe later on, maybe in your careers or in your environment, yeah, you see an opportunity, or you see someone doing something that goes towards something that is more fair and distributed and less reliant on centralized entities that want to control you and the world and everything. Right? Okay. So non-interactive. This is also, I don't even want to go here because I barely understand it myself, to be honest. So I think we went over this. So there's no interaction. Yes. And right now, most of the research in this is mostly going into blockchains, but there are other things. So you can see here the other terms. That's why I brought them up. Elliptic curve cryptography. So you have to imagine the stack of papers that I explained from the government to prove your age. A signature from a government official can only be there if certain information is in front of the government official. So you can imagine that seeing the signature of the government official can only be there if these 10 papers were there. But the only person who saw those 10 papers was the government official. So you can imagine that that signature sort of represents those 10 other pieces of information, right? Does that make sense? So I think the best way to imagine when they mention here, where was it? Hashes. Isn't it here? Well, no, but the hash was somewhere else. So what I want to explain is that imagine the government's official signature is like a hash. A signature is just a little scribble. It's very little data if you think about it. It does not, if you zoom in with a microscope on the signature of the government officials, of the government official, you don't see the 10 documents. They're not there. So the same thing is with the hash. The hash in itself is unique. you can, because with the government official, you can actually take that document or that signature, go back to the official and say, hey, tell me when you signed this and what papers did you have in front of you when you signed this, right? And then if you have the power to inspect that, they will actually tell you, well, I had these 10 papers when I signed it. So you can take it back, and that is the same with a hash. So a cryptographic hash is a little bit of data, and if you have the originals, you actually know that they go together. You can verify it. Now, examples. So these are technologies. So ZK Snarks, funny name. But they started out with zero knowledge, and going back to the stack of papers again with the signatures, the first ones were massive. A very simple proof was actually, I think, a few hundred megabytes for very little data. So imagine that just to prove your age, and you have the government official's signature, the stack of papers was like this high, just to prove your age. So you had to carry around, or you had to use a jeepney to bring all the papers to prove your, your age. Not practical, but it worked. Succinct. At some point, they figured out how to make the stack smaller, basically. And Snarks is the one that is currently used by Zcash. Maybe you heard about that. So Zcash, Ethereum is a cryptocurrency, and Ethereum is actually completely open, like Bitcoin. So I don't know who here still thinks that cryptocurrencies are anonymous. They're not. It's actually worse. If you do something on a blockchain, everybody can see it. And yes, you have this cryptic address that you use, but nowadays if you sign up through CoinsPH or whatever, or you cash out through some service, Binance, the government, anyone can see, oh, this address was linked to that someone buying a pizza, and this address also did some gambling here and also got some undisclosed money from some Russian address. So everything is known, and it goes back to the very beginning, right? So it is not anonymous, but it works. Most people don't care, and right now it's slowly getting to a point where it's actually good. Yeah, hopefully we can pay our taxes soon on crypto. As a company, we are charging our customers in crypto if we can. It's painful, but it's easier than getting a wire transfer and having to pay 30, 40 US dollars just for getting money in from Europe. Crypto is almost free. So yeah, rather use crypto. But some people believe, understandably, that what they do with their money is nobody else's business. Sometimes for good reasons. For instance, if you are a protester in the Philippines and you have an opinion that goes against the current president, that's a problem. So you maybe don't want all your, pay who you pay for printing your things, and where you don't want that information out there because it's dangerous to your life. You may, you're not necessarily a bad revolutionary who kills people, but you may, even if you have an opinion that is not, accepted right now, you may want to hide what you do with your money. But of course, drug dealers, terrorists have the same problem, so they also use it. So this zero knowledge ZK Snark technology was used in Zcash. Zcash is a blockchain where, unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum, everything is hidden. You can see that someone moved money, but you cannot see from where to where and how much. But you can still trust the system that everything is fair, that the money was moved and really removed from this account and then added to that account. So everybody is sure that it's fair, but nobody can see what really happened. And that is basically the zero knowledge proof technology behind it in action. So Zcash is one. Right now there's also a new blockchain because Zcash is pretty stupid. It can only keep track of how much money someone has and send it, and that's it. But Ethereum is like Windows. You can install programs on it. So people have programmed banks, investment strategies called DeFi. That's also one thing that we do. So you can program things that people can use, and with real money that everybody can trust. ZK Sync is, so right now in Ethereum, if you make an investment application, everybody can see how much did you put in, how much did this person invest, how much did they win or lose or cash out. The worst thing is actually in Ethereum, everybody can see the code, and if the programmers made a mistake, someone will exploit it, steal all the money, and then try to run away with it. So having it hidden, ZK Sync does what Ethereum does, but entirely hidden. Everything is hidden. So not just who owns how much money and sending it, but everything. Right now it's in beta. We try to deploy a product to it, but it's not done yet. So this is really early days. That's maybe for another meetup. Zcash has a problem actually. So ZK snarks have a big problem. And that is that, I don't know if there's a slide about it. I'm gonna skip over that. The problem with ZK snarks is basically that in order to start them, so this is the same thing as where you prove your age with the stack of, or with government documents, right? Someone has to start a government or to define the system and the first secrets. And Zcash, I am still not sure if Zcash is actually safe or not. So these systems have to be started by a group of people that have secrets that they use to start the system, and then they are supposed to throw away the secrets. Because anyone who has access to those secrets later on can fake everything they want. So this is really dangerous. So they have, Zcash, they had a ceremony to create the keys and to set up the system. But did they really throw away the key? No one knows. Maybe they kept them, right? No, they are supposed to delete them permanently. So if they're in a vault, that means if someone finds it, they can like transfer all the money in Zcash to themselves and cash out and run away. It's that bad. ZK Sync, I'm not sure, but I think they also have the ceremony. They may have been a bit smarter about it. So that is the problem. That's the weakness of the snarks. Skipping over this. Yeah. So this paragraph is about that. So the trusted setup ceremony. It is possible ZK Sync does the multi-party computation thing, where several parties together compute something and no one by themselves has the whole secret. Only when they work together, they can create the secret together, but no one has it. So it's safer. So as long as one honest party destroys their portion of the entropy, ZK Snark protocol retains computational soundness. So they figured it out a little bit.
That's similar to a jigsaw puzzle where everyone will get a piece of it, and then at a certain point in time they
Yeah. Yeah, comparable. Yeah, I think so.
you get
Yeah.
a piece of
Yeah, because if there's one piece missing, the puzzle is worthless. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No. Anyone else have a comment so far? No. Okay, because we're going really fast. So yeah, this is what I just said about ZK, about Zcash. So they require the users to trust the participants in the parameter generation. So this is about starting it up. Now, there's another one called ZK Starks, and they figured it out. So as you can see, this is something of the last 4 years, I think. So this field is very young. It's developing really quickly. And this one is transparent, so it's better. So, yeah, what can we say? It's faster at generating. Most importantly, it's transparent. So everybody can see that the system was set up properly, and no one can later take control if someone was not honest. So you see that with these systems, these zero knowledge proof systems and cryptography, how paranoid everybody is. So this is a game of cat and mouse, like finding the weaknesses in someone's reasoning and yeah, figure out how to find part of the key to break part of the system. But the stakes are high. These are really like, I compare it with in the past, or you don't have really bank robbers anymore, right? Most people now pay with Gcash, and there's not so much cash around anymore. But before, most bank robbers, they specialize in how to raid the truck and how to ram the bank and run away with the money. This is the new bank robber territory. Bank robbers now are paying hackers to find holes in smart contracts, but also in Gcash. You know, I don't know if anyone read up a little bit more, but I saw we're not even sure what happened. The Gcash themselves were not transparent.
OTP sharing, they said they shared some OTPs. Some users shared OTPs to other people.
Yeah, but that is on those users. I suspect that they made a programming mistake, and those OTPs were available to everyone. So even people that are not giving their OTP to someone, they were leaking it somehow. Yeah, because they made a mistake and someone found it. Yeah. So, yeah, so if you feel chills in your mid, like, oh, that's scary, stay that way. It's good. You have to be careful. Yeah. Alright, so problem is the proofs are a lot bigger, verification overhead is bigger. But overall, yeah, and this goes into, yeah, we'll cover it later. Yeah. Okay. So that was the deeply technical part. So now a little bit back to use cases, because part of this is also that, yeah, some of you are students. Yeah, you're going, after this meetup, you go back to your own world, and I hope, you know, now this is in your awareness, that this technology is there, it's growing, and who knows, someone here may build something with this, or invent something. That would be great. Instead of doing another Gcash API, right? I don't hate Gcash, I use it, but it's old. All right. So what can we use it for? So credit card payments, all these things, they're visible. So again, if you are an activist, I mean, just make it practical. You're an activist in the Philippines. There are certain things that you think the government's not doing right. You have to be careful about who you pay and for what. If the wrong people see it, your life may be in danger, and maybe not this year, but maybe in 5 years when the government starts cracking down, or when what you're doing now and is legal right now is highly illegal in 10 years, and they dig through their databases and find that you were doing all these things 10 years ago, and then get you for it. So that's another thing of that you don't want to be oversharing, because what is reality and what is legal right now may not be in 10 years, right? So yeah, so everything that we're using right now is visible to many people. Cryptocurrencies, it's not really anonymous also. So I think I said this already, something like Zcash, there will be more cryptocurrencies that are completely hidden. And I don't know, I have mixed feelings, I think. I mean, bad people are going to use it, and good people are going to use it. I don't know, yeah. Right, but I think it's important it's there. And it is going to be there. So yeah, privacy coins, Zcash, Monero. We talked about it already. Then, yeah, this is one. So I mentioned a hacker hacking a smart contract and running away with the money. What they usually do is they use Tornado Cash. So on Ethereum, you can actually take the money that you stole, and then, by the way, this is not supposed to be like a hacker how-to, but what they do is they take the coins, the tokens that they stole, and Tornado Cash is a smart contract that is also mixing things up, and it is using zero-knowledge proofs. So everything goes into like a tornado. So if you try to track like, oh, where did this come from, and before that, where did it come from, it gets really difficult to figure out where the money came from and where it went. So yeah, that's what it's used for right now. Again, it can be good, it can be evil. Yeah, so that's the thing. If it's opt-in, so if you're using something like Tornado Cash, if you're using something like Zcash, you make yourself suspicious right away. So it would be actually better, but politicians may disagree, that everything is privacy is the default and not the exception. So I don't know what that's going to do for blockchain adoption though. Because then the governments will say, yeah, but then money laundering is off the charts, and you know, no, we'll see. We'll see the coming few years. Okay, yeah, the other one is basically the driver's license thing and passport. If you want to protect your identity, so the only thing you want to share is, I am 21 years old, I have enough money in my bank account. The thing here, which is also worthy of another talk, is decentralized identity. And the idea is that you create a piece of data that is yours. It may be in your phone. There are actually companies working on this right now. We can switch to it in a bit for a quick show. You know what? Let's do it right away. Because it's kind of interesting. So I believe they're also doing things in the Philippines. And the founder is also an interesting character. So WorldCoin is a startup. Guess who founded it? Does someone know who is the founder of WorldCoin? So this is about decentralized identities. It's Sam Altman. Who knows?
Altman.
Sam Altman.
ChatGPT.
Yes. It's the same guy that founded ChatGPT. Huh? Right? So WorldCoin actually is quite interesting. Oh, look at that. We have work to do. So WorldCoin is not just a token. That's the thing. It's much more than that. And just the fact that the guys founded also ChatGPT, where ChatGPT makes it like, am I talking to a human or am I talking to an AI? Like, so I think he had the same thought, but 4 years ago instead of now. So what he came up with is a device, and I'm trying to find a picture of the device. Is this device now? No. Let me see if I can find it. An orb. So it's about the orb. Okay, let's see if I can Google it. So, well, I happen to go to the look inside. Okay, there's no picture of the orb itself. I think you get the idea. So what the idea is that right now, if you want an account on Ethereum, you you find 12 words, and you basically create your own private key, and that is your identity. But that's it. What this guy came up with is, instead of coming up with a private key that you can lose, actually, that's the problem. You can lose it, and if you lose it, then your whole identity, your passport, your everything depends on it. That's a problem. This is a scanner that scans your retina, and it creates a private key based on that retina scan. So that page that I had open there, like become a WorldCoin operator, they will send you one of these devices, and then your job is to go around the country and scan people's retinas and give them IDs for that. And the whole idea there is to eventually put your passport in there, put your driver's license in there. But it means it's encrypted with your key that only you have and that only you can access. It's unique. And it is autonomous. It's only yours. So no government can change your passport record. So that is, I don't know, it's creepy, it's futuristic, everything at once, right?
It's almost the same with facial recognition, but on a deeper.
Yeah, facial recognition can still be faked.
Yes.
It's too easy to fake. And yeah, it looks like this is much harder, or this is impossible to fake, so they claim. So yeah, interesting, right? So the guy that founds ChatGPT that can imitate humans really well comes up with a solution where humans can prove their humanness. So he gets both sides of the problem. He earns from both of it. That said, it's pretty good. So ideally, in the end, right now, if your identity depends on a bank and a government, what you see right now, another problem is if you're doing something, and in the West, here in the Philippines, cash is still okay. So paying with cash is accepted and widely done. But in the Netherlands, where I'm from, almost no cash anymore. It's very convenient if you want to do groceries, because you just, with your phone, just boop, and then you don't even have to scan the QR code, you just hold your phone. The problem is, if you do something that the government doesn't like, they can freeze your bank account. Suddenly you cannot buy groceries anymore. You're a non-citizen suddenly. So that's a problem. And maybe in the Netherlands less so than here in the Philippines. But here in the Philippines, if the society goes cashless and you depend on your bank account being not frozen, your drivers, LTO is starting with e-licenses, right? Where it's only online. So what if you somehow get your license frozen? You know, so suddenly actually being in control of your own identity becomes more important. And yeah, this technology, being able to prove that you're 21 without showing your driver's license, ties into this whole problem entirely. You know, how do you prove that you're a Filipino citizen without giving your passport, etc. Right? But there's a lot of things happening at once. The WorldCoin thing, actually, I almost did a meetup about that. Right? I sent the message, let's do it about this, but I eventually decided to talk about zero knowledge proofs. All right, so that's identity. Does it make sense? So you can carry your own identity, and you only share what you want to share. Authentication, same thing. So how do you prove that you are who you are without giving your whole everything? So, and this boils down to, this is more of a technical thing, where if you have the proof and both parties trust the system, you don't need to interact anymore. So you basically just present a piece of data to whoever needs something, and then that's enough. And because it's cryptographically sound, signed, everybody trusts it. I'm not sure if it's really going to work that way. And then this one is a bit more techy. Right now we have cloud services, right? We have AWS. We have a lot of things that you can send to the cloud to calculate, to process for you. Let's say you make a video and you want the video transformed into another format or a photo. So you want, I'm trying to come up with an example that is a cloud service that everybody sort of understands. I think if you upload an image, let's say to Facebook or to Instagram, you trust them that they're not gonna change that image or do something else with it, right? So if you upload a photo of you with a group of people to Instagram, you trust them, you trust Instagram that they're not going to remove one person or put a political slogan in the background because they got paid for it, right? So verifiable computation basically means that you can build systems so you can trust that Instagram, for instance, Instagram publishes the way that they process your photo. So you can trust that, you know, okay, the way, they're not going to mess with it. Does that make sense?
It will be a protection for deepfakes.
Yes. Yeah, that's for protection for deepfakes. Yeah, that would be. But maybe then the verifiable computation would be built into cameras. So real camera chips will do something to the data that can be verified. So who knows, maybe it's on the market in 2 years, I don't know, but that if you use a camera to film something, it comes with a zero knowledge proof that only that camera can produce. So people later can check like, oh, this was really coming from that camera. Yeah.
Somewhat similar to watermark.
Yeah, but impossible to fake because of the immense cryptography and math taking place. Yeah, this is mostly, so blockchains also use this because blockchains need to process things for a lot of people, but you need to trust. A blockchain is basically a lot of other computers doing things and you trust them that they're not messing with it. So for blockchains it's quite important as well. Yeah, this is pretty technical. I'm going to skip. Also too technical. Yep. All right, so I think this one is interesting. It's on the edge. I think, yeah. So there's an interesting thing here that happens on blockchain. So let's say a government says, if people donate, so we have a list of 10 causes, and whichever cause has the most donations, we're going to double that money. So for a government, that's a way to basically boost the most popular idea, right? Does it make sense? So if we have a list of good causes, more schools, more trees, etc., and then everybody can put their own money in it, and the government then looks at that and says, oh, more schools, actually people put the most donations, charity money on the schools. So that's what we're going to double. Does it make sense? Now, there's a problem with that. Because if it's out in the open, what everybody did to everybody, it can be abused. Because then a construction company building schools is like, okay, this is free money. So they look at what other people are doing and they just, you know, make sure that the schools initiative gets the most donations. Because they can see what's going on. And then the government puts even more money and then they get to build all those schools. Not nice, right? But that's how it happens. Now, if you can use zero knowledge proofs, So if you can hide the details and only the government can see who put in the most or where the most went, then everybody donating doesn't know which one got the most. So then you only have the honest actors left. So it's a way, hiding certain things, but everybody still trusts that it is fair, helps in making a system more fair altogether. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's what this is about. Very technical. All right, well, what are drawbacks here? Hardware. So Ethereum actually recently stopped their planet burning network, right? So before you needed graphics cards to run an Ethereum node. So one of the massive criticisms still with Bitcoin is that it burns so much electricity that it is really bad for the environment. Ethereum was like that, and they actually changed over. So it is not as bad anymore. The problem is when Ethereum starts doing more zero knowledge proofs, it goes back to that, because everybody has to use graphics cards again to generate proofs. So that's, and it is expensive, so that's a downside. But yeah, I guess the effect is good. Yeah, it is expensive. Also to use Ethereum, it's simply more expensive. And this was the one that I already mentioned, the trusted setup ceremony. This is actually more of a problem that as systems get more complex, you can't really inspect them. No mortal soul can inspect them anymore to see if it's really fair and true. And this, like, I admit, I mean, even for me, this is my brain almost gives up. So how, yeah, there's maybe a handful of people eventually that understand these systems. And that is a weakness, right? That is a problem. That eventually there's an autonomous system that only an AI can fix. So that's a downside. And then quantum computing. So all these things are based on cryptography, elliptic curve cryptography. It's basically finding numbers in a huge sea of numbers, and if you find the right number, that is the key. For normal PCs and graphics cards and humans, it's really hard because the numbers are, the numbers are bigger than there are atoms in the entire universe. So it's an immense space of numbers that you have to check before you can crack even one Ethereum address. Quantum computers happen to be pretty good at that stuff, and they're getting more powerful. So that is really a thing. When quantum computers get better, because quantum computers don't have to check one, check the other one, check the other one, check the other one. They don't have to do it one by one. They check everything at once. So it's a lot faster. But they're not done yet. And they're also preparing for it. So ZK Stark say that they're immune. But who knows? There's maybe a handful of people on the planet that know for sure. So, wrapping up, we're there. I think it's the future for a lot of things, but it's a bittersweet mixed bag, right? It's good for the bad guys, it's good for the good guys, but it is going to happen. All the technology that humans can do, they will do. And if not the Western countries, then China will just do it. Or other countries. Yeah, I put this presentation here. That's it. Questions? Yes, Nick.
I'm sure ChatGPT or Bard or any other LLMs can help us at this point in time because zero-proof knowledge is quite new.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any codes that we can reference to or manuals that we can read? ChatGPT can help us, I know.
Oh, for zero knowledge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you...
So I included a bunch of links as well. And basically, well, this is, let me see, where is it? No. So ZK Sync is a real blockchain that we are, going to deploy to. So if you're interested, well, if you want to work with a blockchain that works based on zero knowledge proofs, then this is one that you can try.
Solidity itself.
Within the Solidity?
So you can deploy Solidity smart contracts to this blockchain with the usual tools. Yeah. So the same thing that you would do for Ethereum mainnet, you can do here.
Is the zero proof knowledge incorporated in that particular?
Yes. Yeah, so on Ethereum, you can see everything that everybody does. So I think some of you have seen Etherscan. So Etherscan is a way to look at the Ethereum blockchain and what people are doing. And everything is out in the open, basically. Now, this is a little bit random, but let's see what happens. So this is someone's transaction. What did they do? Oh, they transferred. Okay, interesting. From this address or something to this address. So you can see, if you know where to look, and if you know how to look, nothing is hidden. Now with ZK Sync, nope, it's not there. Can't see it. You can still trust that it worked well, but you can't see it anymore. That's the difference. Make sense? So, anyone else? Feel free. Yeah?
Another question.
Yeah.
Is there an API
that we can use using zero proof knowledge? Like you want to incorporate that in a traditional computing system, for example?
Yeah, I think so. Well, in the sense that, you can interface with their API. So this is the same as doing Ethereum. So I'm sure people will start to deploy NFTs here. And they have an API, so you can talk to their nodes, and you can deploy your NFTs here, all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah. Right. Okay. I think I got to the end. It was really, how long did I take? An hour? It's not that long, but it was a lot, right? So let me see if I have anything to close. I think this one is, oh, is anyone? So I think this is a very interesting one to keep in mind. So if you want something to study in the future after this, dive deeper into the zero knowledge proofs, but also the proof of humanity is interesting. And especially zero knowledge proofs combined with decentralized identity. So we may do a next meetup about that. And keep in mind, voting systems right now, everything is software 1.0. It runs on computers of corporations. And I think a dream for humanity, an ambition for humanity is that people have control over their own data and over their own processing. So, because right now it's a bit scary. If you lose your Google account, if Google thinks that you posted something bad on YouTube, you lose all your Gmail, you lose your email, well, then maybe you cannot travel anymore. All kinds of things are suddenly not possible anymore, right? So that is the idea, is that right now we're way too dependent on centralized systems by corporations, by governments that may not even care about us. So, sound like an activist. Yeah, and then this technology makes that possible. Right. So that's it. I'll wrap it up like this. If anyone has questions later, feel free to hang around, chat about this a little bit. Feel free to approach me. I'm happy to talk about this stuff, as you notice. So then that's it. I want to thank everybody here. Kim, Thea, Marianne, thanks for setting up. Lee, tech support. Oostenvoort, thanks. And yeah, thanks for coming. Oh, yes. And very important, thanks for coming. STI College. Thank you. Southville. Ah. Is that right there? Nice. How do I spell MSEUF? Lucena. Wow, all the way from Lucena? Nice. All right. Nice. And Arnard Company. Thanks for coming. All right. That's it. Thank you very much.
Before you leave us, let's take a picture first.
Yep. Take a group picture.